Hello, this is Kyle Oldham, and I'm going to show you how to stain your own cheek cells. First, you need to get the materials for the experiment, and that includes a microscope, the slides for the microscope, the cover slips for the slides, some methylene blue dye. This might be harder to come by. You might be able to ask a teacher. You will need toothpicks, paper towels, water, and 2 pipettes to deal with the water and the methylene blue dye. And this part's optional, but if you want to take pictures of what you find, you will need a camera. Now, to prepare the slide for the experiment, first what you need is you need to take your first pipette and fill it with some of the water that you got, and then take your slide. You can clean it if you want first, but if this is the first time you've used the slide, then just get it out and put 1 small drop of water onto the center of it. It should look something like that. And then you will need to take one of the toothpicks that you have and rub it against your inner cheek. The only problem with this is you might stab yourself, so try to keep it as parallel as possible. And then stir it into the water afterwards, and you should, even though you won't see any cells, there will be cells in the water. Okay, so adding the dye. You'll need to take the pipette you didn't use for the water and use that one for the dye. So first you need to suck some of it into the pipette and then drop it directly on top of your water drop, and then give it about 60 seconds to allow the dye to soak into the cells, and then it should look something like this after you do that. Okay, so now when you apply the cover slip onto the slide, here's what you do. You need to put it on very gently and put it on one side of the drop and then gently lay it over to help avoid excessive bubbles. If you have them, it won't hurt anything. It might just look a little weird on the microscope. And then you need to remove the dye from the slide. And you're not going to be able to get it all, and that's fine, but here's how to do it. You take your second pipette, you fill it with some of the water, or your original pipette rather, and drop water along the edges of where the slit meets the slide. This will help distribute the dye out of it. And then you take some paper towels, preferably ripped up, but they don't have to be, and then touch the sides of the water, and you can actually watch the water as well as some of the dye get pulled out. You may need to do this for a while and repeat it a few times. That's okay, but in the end you should get something that looks kind of like this. And it's kind of hard to see, but that's kind of the point as well. Okay, then how to actually set up the microscope. So you're obviously going to need to plug it in, but then after you plug it in, you need to do a few things just to keep the microscope safe. One of those things is to completely lower the stage and turn the magnification to the lowest setting, just to help prevent damage to any of the lenses or the rest of the microscope. Then you need to turn it on, of course, so that you actually see the light, otherwise you'll just see black. And then take your slide and put it on top of the stage over the light, but then put it underneath the stage clips on top of the stage. Now finding your cells, you're probably going to just see white at first from the light of the microscope. But by using the coarse adjustment knob, which is the big one, you can eventually start to see an image, and you can push around your slide as much as you need to try your best to find a decent looking specimen. It may be kind of hard to tell if it's a cell at first. That's fine, but if it's blue, it probably is. Here's an example of my low magnification one. Now magnifying it, you'll then, after you do the last step, then you'll need to set it to the medium magnification. And then from now on, you probably shouldn't touch the coarse adjustment knob just to make sure you don't accidentally send the stage flying into the lens. That would be bad for the microscope and your cover slip. Um, and then when you're focused in on your cell, you should be ready to switch the magnification. Now, here's my cells and my different magnifications. I've got the low here, which you can't really see much of anything. And then you've got the medium, where you can start to see a clear image, but it's still kind of hard to tell. And then we have a high-powered one. And I used my phone camera to take these pictures, but if you have a camera scope, then you're welcome to do that. In mine, you can actually see on the high magnification, we have the nucleus here. You can see the main organelle in the cell, as well as the shape it's taken. It's not perfectly spherical or anything, as you can see, but it's still a very identifiable cell. And if you follow the same steps, you should be able to replicate the same results. Thank you.